everybody. Today we're going to be talking about the digestive system. We're first going to start with the oral cavity. The oral cavity here, its roof is bordered by the hard palate right here, and then the soft palate right here posteriorly. This is made of soft tissue, predominantly muscle. The hard palate is made of your facial bones. Just above the hard palate, we would see the nasal cavity. So this nasal and oral cavity, they unite together on this posterior region here. We commonly call it the throat, but it's known as the pharynx. It's actually divided into three parts. You have the nasopharynx. Behind the oral cavity, it would be called the oral pharynx. And then right here at the junction between the larynx and the esophagus here, this is called the laryngopharynx. So this is a point here we have both air and food and water. Now air would go anterior into your respiratory tract, but food and water would go posterior into your esophagus. This structure right here, known as the epiglottis, this would cover over your larynx trachea to prevent food from coming in there. So let's focus on the digestive tract here. So we travel on down the esophagus right here. We will reach this J-shaped organ right here known as the stomach. The stomachs have lots of folds known as rugae for expansion. Now the stomach will then lead into the first part of the small intestines known as the duodenum. There is a junction between the stomach and the duodenum. There is a muscle that regulates food moving from the stomach to the duodenum. This muscle is known as the pyloric sphincter. So it's this area of joining right here. Now, the small intestines, like I said, is divided into three parts. This first part here is known as the duodenum. We'll see the other two parts in just a second. The duodenum communicates with some other organs. First, it communicates with the pancreas. The pancreas makes digestive enzymes and bicarbonate ion to break down the food products in the duodenum. The duodenum also communicates via this green-like tube with this organ here known as the liver. The liver produces bile, and the gallbladder right here stores the bile. It will then send the bile to the duodenum to help break down fats. Now let's move on to our other parts of our small intestines. If we look down here, this is predominantly jejunum, which is the second part of our small intestines. The last part of our small intestines, which we see here, this is known as the ileum. Now the ileum will meet up with the first part of our large intestines. This first part of our large intestines is known as the cecum. There's a valve here called the ileocecal valve, which regulates digestive products moving from the ileum into the cecum. Now there is parts of the large intestines, but we're just going to focus on the large intestines as a whole. The large intestines ascends, it transverses over, and then descends again, and then ends as the rectum right here. And by this point in time, there in the large intestines, there is undigestible material, and that undigestible material would exit out as feces out of the anus. And that is it for your digestive model.